Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today I'm taking a look at, and this is very exciting, Blaster Volume 5, Dead by Lead by Alex C. Van Allen. This is the new incarnation of Blaster. Blaster is dead, long live Blaster. For those of you who don't remember, Blaster was 4 issues strong and was originally a sort of like collective experience for myself and a bunch of other game designers. Joe McCullough, Mike Hutchinson, Joey McGuire, and myself, along with my good friend Sean Sutter from Relic Blade Studios. Published 4 issues over the pandemic. It was a wonderful way to get our heads out of the world ending and get a whole bunch of creative juices flowing. But as it sort of like ran its course, what ended up happening was our incredibly talented editor and graphic designer Greg Horton took over the magazine. We signed it over to him, and it is now his full production with the focus of publishing indie games. And the first one, the first issue, number 5, and there are actually ads for the further issues later on, is Dead by Lead. So this is a cowboy-themed game in sort of the, what would I say, the American West, the old American West, kind of a Legends of the Old West sort of like style game, where small groups of gunfighters will go to fight other groups of gunfighters. It has a wonderful foreword by Greg at Electi and contains full color artwork and runs a grand total of, I believe, 50-ish pages. We're looking at 60 pages, I think, 60 pages. Including some quick start rules for Hobgoblin, which is pretty cool. This was the Kickstarter that Greg and Mike ran for Mike's miniature agnostic like fantasy game, and also has incredible artwork by Crom. If you're a Mike Mignola / Hellboy kind of fan, Crom is an incredible artist, kind of in that same sort of vein, that it's almost like a pulp comic book vein, and he did the cover as well as the interior artwork, and it looks incredible. But back to this issue, I'm getting excited, getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk about this. So what do you need to play the game? So you need this. This is the complete rulebook. You also need some D12s for making your tests. You need a pack of playing cards for doing your shooting. Shooting is going to be done basically with like a card-based defense system, where you get to draw cards and add them together to reduce damage. I need some miniatures. Luckily enough, conveniently enough, Jay and I play this game where I try and get him to go home with things from the studio so that this doesn't get cleaned out, and he always shows up with stuff from his basement, and we're at this like homeostasis of like, there's never more miniatures coming or going from either of our lives. But he was bringing me some mechs for Battletech for a project we're doing, and he had this, I think they are Great Escape Games? Yeah, Great Escape Games Plastic Cowboys. And I'd never seen these before, and I got wicked excited. And that was actually before Greg sent me this copy to review. And literally these things showed up at the same time. So I'm very pumped. You get 6 miniatures per frame, so I'm gonna paint these up to play this with. I've got everything ready to rock and roll, and Jay and I are gonna play. And actually I'm gonna make new terrain. I'm gonna do the whole game. We're gonna play some Old West style games using these rules. So, like I said, introduction, what you need to play. I've already kind of gone over that. 6 to 12 Western miniatures, a 12-sided D12 and a couple 6-sided dice. Tape measure in inches, deck of playing cards, a 3x3 playing surface, some Western terrain, pencil and tokens on your roster sheet. They give some wonderful examples of who to get miniatures from, like Knuckle Duster, Wargames Foundry, Great Escape, which I have here, Skullforge, Artisan, and Black Scorpion. You've seen all of those in my Legends of the Old West games. And then a measuring device in inches in your deck of cards. So they don't give you too much the idea is this is a miniature agnostic game, right? This is an indie game. Use the miniatures you like, use the terrain collection you like for the setting you like, and that's exactly what they've done here. There are handy tokens. If you have some tokens, it would be handy to have for certain things like tracking ammunition. You could just use a 6-sided dice as well, just have it be a different color. And then your roster sheets, like I showed you, actually are already back here. And there is a good amount of granularity in this game, because you can get shot in various locations. If you get shot in the head, you die, like immediately, obviously. If you get shot in the torso, the first time you get shot in the torso, you're like -1 all your tests, the next time you're dead. And then arms and legs will variously injure you, basically, and reduce certain tests. So creating a gang. When you create a gang, you'll have a certain number of dollars that you're allotted in order to do so. This is going to feel familiar, just like Legends of the Old West. It's a $100 budget, and you can hire a bunch of guys from your various professions. Now, professions represent the career and life path the character might take. When hiring a character in your gang, refer to their hire cost, and everyone has a stat line, and these are your starting values. Now there's 4 stats. Iron, it's your firearms and or bow skill. Brawl, which is your fighting up close skill. Grit's how tough you are. And luck is the intangible life or death cheating basically skill. So you have scouts. They're like brawlier than they are shooty, but they've got good grit and luck. They're kind of cheap. Rustlers with like sort of like the generic stat line. Drifters are a bit better at shooting. Enforcers are a bit better at brawling. And these guys will also have special skills like keen eyes. All ranged weapons used by a scout have 2 inches out of their optimal range. It's not great at shooting, but they have really good eyes. Open range for the Rustlers. This character receives +1 to its DT while it has no cover. Then quick draw. Drifters receive +2 shooting modifier when returning fire after drawing an ace. So you get better like shooting back basically if you pull an ace when you're doing your defense roll, which I'll explain later. And then Enforcers, command respect, +1 modifier to all range attacks against enemies with a higher notoriety. So if you're scarier than they are, you get a bonus against them. And then you can buy them upgrades as well. Sorry, there's more. There's a Pursuer and a Leader, a Horse, a Dog, and a Mule are your animals you can get as well. So with only 6 classes, that actually kind of makes sense because you're in the American Old West. It's not really so much who you are as what you've done in the past that's kind of led you to be here. And I like that these are nice and open-ended. There's not too many, so they're kind of easy to keep track of. The Pursuer's got True Grit. Any wound that would, so you could be like a Banner Hunter, a Pinkerton, or a U.S. Marshal. Any wound that would take the Pursuer above its Grit value may be negated without a successful D12 roll of 10 or higher. So basically you have like a shrug. And then Powerful Presence, allied characters within 12 of this leader may spend their character's luck as though it was their own for the leader. So they're the most expensive too, obviously. And then you can buy horses, dogs, and mules to carry your stuff around. And they all have the domesticated rule. These animals may be purchased as additional characters. Animals do not count towards the 12 character maximum gang limit, but animals do require some maintenance. As such, players may only have a number of animals equal to the current number of gunslingers in their gang. So you can only have your captain, whoever you basically have in your gang. And then to tweak, and I like this actually because it means that like you're able to sort of like spend your last couple dollars. You can buy character upgrades. You can buy 1 per character. Sorry, you can buy them each once per character, and note that several options are available in each category. A character may not have more than 1 per category, so you can't like take all 3 of the iron ones, all 3 of the grit ones. There is like an experience system that will kind of allow you to do that later on, though. And they have a cost in dollars. An upgrade can be purchased to bring a statistic above 6. If an upgrade purchased would increase above 6, then it caps at the value of 6. So like you're increasing your grit with this one, you're increasing irons, increasing with U.S. Army training, crouch shot, and legendary sharpshooter. Brawl going up with the brawl one, and luck going up with the luck one. So like they're just stat bonuses basically, right? Because there's not a ton of like what's the term, granularity to your characters otherwise. And then character flaws, they're basically like your trade-offs. So like for instance, if you're arrogant, you get +1 luck, but the trade-off is this character has no fear, and thus they may not receive any benefits from cover while they don't have wounds. Treat line of sight as normal while targeting the character. Big and stupid, +1 brawl, +1 grit. Trade-off, -2 movement per action point. So character flaws differ slightly from character upgrades in that they usually have a trade-off. Like upgrades, each of these flaws can only be chosen once per character and may only be chosen during character creation. Only 1 flaw may be taken per character, and add flaws to a gunslinger's traits. And of course, you're also capped at 6. And then it makes you cheaper. So you can also make yourself slightly cheaper sometimes too. So like for instance, damn cowards are -3 to your cost. You can be a drunkard, a loner. And I think this is my favorite part, is that you get to like add some personality to your characters as well. It's a very Forbidden Psalm where you like have these like weird, almost like character, what's the term? Like personality prompts. And to me, that kind of adds to the story of the game as you're playing it. So then your firearms and weapons, what you can take as your firearms and weapons, basically just like as equipped on the model. So like a 6-shooter, a heavy pistol, or repeating rifle, a shotgun. You can also have like a buffalo rifle, the Sharps rifle, derringers, hunting bows, and they all got associated costs to what you're going to give your guy. So again, so far, very like nice, familiar gunslinger style game. You get your $100, you go hire your guys, you equip them as you can, and then you go head into the frontier. So I'm pretty sure that these 6 will be more than enough for me to get started when I count gear and basic guy costs and adding upgrades and flaws and stuff. And then chapter 3, playing Dead by Lead. All right, so the table's set up. You're gonna put down some cool terrain. You roll off, and the winner will then deploy all your characters within 3 inches of one edge, then the other person goes opposite. The usual standard game of Dead by Lead's like a last person standing shootout between similarly priced gangs, or 2 of a comparable total of notoriety. So notoriety is like the campaign version, whereas the cost is like for like one-off games. Then you get your initiative. At the start of every turn, all players should roll 1 12-sided dice. The highest rolling player takes the initiative and has priority. And if you want to do multiplayer games, you can. The next highest rolling player would go, and then so on and so on. Each turn, a player goes back and forth utilizing 2 of their characters at a time. This continues until everyone's activated. After all characters have activated, re-roll initiative and start the process again, and that's the round. Activation. Every turn, you have 2 action points to do tasks. The standard ones are movement, which is move 6 inches based on different bonuses and penalties. Shooting, make a shooting attack, mounting and dismounting a horse, brawling, which means fighting in melee, careful aiming to add to your iron modifier, and reloading. And then dice rolls. Gunslingers are called upon to make dice rolls at various points during gameplay. To do so, a player must make a specified roll, such as an iron roll or a brawl roll. Dice rolls are made by rolling a single d12 and adding the pertinent statistic value, and then applying any relevant modifier. So I just rolled an 11. If I had a grit of 2, I'd roll a 13 total. In Dead by Lead, a dice roll of 12 before applying, a statistic is always a success and a 1's always a failure. In both cases, this holds true if statistics and modifiers would make a hit roll or miss roll required by a DT. That's your dice target number. So for example, a cowboy wants to shoot a target with a pistol. Making an iron roll, the player rolls a d12 and adds a DT of 6, or against a DT of 6. Rolling a 5, the player adds their iron skill of 2 and gets a 7. The player then counts for all modifiers, in this case the target being in cover, and there's a -1 to the roll. This brings the new total of the roll to a 6, giving it a 6 matches the DT. The character has successfully shot the target. So your DT is typically going to be determined by the action you're doing. So for instance, if you're going to be shooting, gunslingers spend an AP and do that. Cover will apply modifiers. And then add to your shots. So for instance, when you draw, you're gonna have your cover will reduce things. So like the playing card deck in Dead by Lead is called an aim deck. The aim deck is used to determine the general difficulty of a shot. In order to achieve this, a player draws at random when one of their characters is being shot at by an enemy. When drawn, the total numerical value is the dice target for the shot. So for instance, if you so you're gonna cut the deck, right, at the start of the game, after you've shuffled it, and then you're going to shoot a guy in cover. If he's in no cover, it's just the first top card, so it's a 6 there. So I need to roll and add my grit, and I get, like, let's say I've got an iron of 2, the target number being 6 means I've hit. If I was to have heavy cover, for instance, I would maybe flip 2 cards and pick the highest. So 7 would be my target number now. I'd roll and add my grit. I got an 8, plus 2 is 10, so I hit that target. Now, if I roll doubles and triples, I actually add the totals together, which means that you get lucky basically and get an insanely high number. All face cards are worth 10, and aces give you additional bonuses like being able to attack back. So aces are like an interrupt basically, where you can fight back afterwards, which is a nice little mechanic. They always have a 10 for their DT value, and they also let you take a special reaction when you're shooting back. So then you've got your optimal range and penalties, your skill. So like if you're short range, if you're between 0.1 and 6 inches, you can shoot as normal, your -1 to hit up to 12. So your weapons will have various ranges. So if you go back and look at the weapons here, their like profile is their maximum range. So their optimal range for a 6 shooter is medium. So that means it's up to 12, right? So it can shoot medium range, which means it's normal up to there. If it wants to go to long, it's going to be -1 to its dice rolls. So the modifiers are for range, and then the target number is set by the dice and whether or not you're in cover or not. I really like that mechanic. I think it's cool. And the maximum range overall is 24 inches from 18 to 24. And again, your weapons will show you what your optimal range is. So handy, and then melee is similar. You can also like dual wield and fan and stuff like that. And then you find out your wound location. Shoot a gunslinger be wounded in the head and arms. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll a dice, a d6, to see where you're hit at. And there can be all kinds of different negative effects for being damaged in different places. So when you are brawling in melee, 2 character models, each character rolls a d12 and then adds their brawl values. It's an opposed roll. The winner successfully hits and then applies 1 wound if unarmed with a melee weapon. to the enemy character. Roll and apply damage to the appropriate box to hit as normal. If after dealing damage, both characters are still standing, the character that wins a brawl may choose to disengage its target by pushing the enemy model back 1 inch. When disengaging from an enemy model, a character may never push the enemy through a wall or other characters. And then disengaging by winning a brawl is the only way a gunslinger can freely leave a brawl. So you have to fight until you can leave, basically, and you're locked in. And then grit and luck. So grit and luck are the two primary statistics to determine when a gunslinger will survive. When calculating wounds, characters must always consider the wounds versus grit value. When a gunslinger's total wounds equals or surpasses their grit, the character succumbs to their wounds and dies, immediately removed from the table. Luck is a special statistic that may be expended by a player. Every time a character is wounded in combat, the character may make a luck roll against the attacking roll to avoid the damage entirely. Before rolling, you choose how much luck you want to spend, and then roll a d12 and add the chosen value. If the luck roll equals or surpasses the total modified roll of the opposing attack, the damage is negated. It's like, let's say I cut my cards to shoot somebody. I got that 9. My iron's 2. So let's say for whatever reason I hit. So let's say I got that 9. I rolled an 8 and got that. You could add your luck. So let's say I wanted to spend a luck point. If I beat that 9, so I rolled a 9 plus my luck of 1 to get 10, I negate that total attack now and the attack just goes away. But luck is finite, right? Once you spend it, it goes away. I can keep you alive. So it's a bit like fate points in Lord of the Rings. And then campaigns. So the campaign system's pretty like familiar, but you've also got additional rolls for where you got hit, which I think is cool. See if any of your injuries like killed you. So if you get shot in the head, on a 1 to 3 you're dead. You can be blinded, have a busted jaw, or be fully recovered. Your torso as well can get injured. So that's I think that's a really unique thing. The granularity of like finding out where you got shot and what happened, that's a really nice narrative element, and I like that. It's not just like a single table for all injuries. Because you get shot in body parts, it's what was that game, that video game where like your body parts would break, your individual body parts? It was like super brutal. It was like a fighting game where like you'd watch like your bones snap. It was super gross. It was like the miniature game version of that. And then your notoriety is basically like your starting sort of like almost like fame or rep in Necromunda. Everybody's starting notoriety is 1. In addition, if you survive a match, you receive a point, and you don't roll an injury table, you receive a point because basically you get away without getting injured. New traits from notoriety are unlocked in benchmarks. For every 5 notoriety, a gunslinger may select one of the traits from the following list. So basically just adding your stats. You can haggle or play it safe. And then when you get notoriety 10, you can add one of these, and 15, you can add one of these. So basically after 15 games of not going out of action, you can have up to 3 upgrades. And then trading and getting paid. So you can buy all kinds of consumable equipment like bandoliers and dynamite, medicine. And then keeping busy. During the campaign, you may attempt to keep busy by partaking in events in the harsh life of the American frontier. After each game, every gunslinger in a gang who survived without an injury roll can roll on one of these charts. Basically, it's what are you doing afterwards? You might go rob a bank. You might meet somebody. I like these. I like that there's an events table. So it's kind of Mordheim-y in that like there will be an emerging narrative, and that's kind of got me excited about it. And then finally, we've got our scenarios. So apart from the shootout scenario, we've got a bank robbery, a jailbreak, a gunfight showdown, a saloon brawl, land dispute, some Duttons, a troll. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do like a Yellowstone, like an 1882 Yellowstone thing. That'd be fun. A train heist, and that's it. Credits. What a great, and then sorry, and our like location table games. What a great, concise set of rules. I'm really excited for this one because of the emerging narrative stuff. It has all the thematic sort of like stuff that I would want in an Old West game, like the different sort of like scenarios and stuff. But then on top of that, it has this like granularity of combat that I think is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about this one. Good job, Alex C. Van Allen. And if you want to grab this, I'll put the link in the video description to Drive Through RPG. We can grab it digitally or in this softback. You will notice there's a scale change. This is a standard, like not magazine size. This is like an 8.5 by 11. No, it's not 8.5 by 11. It's something more than that. It's like a 9 by, I don't know what scale this is. It's standard rulebook scale. And again, beautifully laid out with beautiful artwork by Greg and lovely photography as well. So I'm super excited about this one. It looks like it's going to be fun. And then I'll suppose at the end, of course, there's a quick start guide for Mike's fantasy game Hobgoblin, which I'll be excited to review when the book's, I think, in production. And then some little teasers at the back here for the future issues of Blaster. Blaster Volume 5 is right here. 1 to 4 has been retired. Blaster number 6 It doesn't have a cover yet, but Blaster Volume 6 is Zeogenesis Slip Runners, written by Gav Thorpe and Andy Chambers. So Greg managed to get a hold of Andy and Gav and have them publish it through his magazine, which I think is very exciting for him. That's supposed to be coming December 2023, so look for that. And then finally, Arsenal, which looks like it's going to be a robot fighting game. You know that's right up my alley, by Jordan Cuffey. And that's Volume 7 for May 2024. So already 2 more announced. So I'm very happy that Blaster is continuing on. I think Greg's obviously done an incredible job with the artwork and layout. He was an incredible talent that made Blaster look as great as it did for the 4 issues that we did. And I'm really excited to see where it goes for him. So big thanks for watching. If you want a new Cowboy game, go grab Volume 5 from Drive-Thru right now. Until next time, Ash. Happy gaming. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.